Hello guys and welcome to Samosa Reviews. Today I have bought a watch for you that is extremely special. This is the Vostok Komandirskie Big Red One. This was extremely hard for me to find in India, not to find in India but to get in India. I bought this in Russia and then I had somebody carry it for me. It was very difficult for me to get this watch and quite rare. Not many people have it in India, though absolutely rare. I know of only one other person who has this watch, and when I saw pictures of it, I fell in love and I had to get it. I've been using it for 1 year now, so I will show you. I'm very happy to share it. First, we'll look at the manual and everything. We get the manual in Russian, everything. Look at that. The factory tags and all. Probably made in Chistopol factory in Russia. Information about the movement, and this it comes in the Komandirskie red box. Amphibia boxes are black, Komandirskie is red. Look at that. Look at that red. Look at that red. If you know Vostok, they are the most famous Russian watchmakers. They have the Vostok Europe branch, of course the traditional Vostok Russian watches. Then they also have another line of Vostok watches called the Vostok Europe. They are much more expensive than these, but these are the traditional Russian watchmakers. The traditional, the original branch of Vostok, and they make, generally Vostok makes military themed watches. So this is the Komandirskie series. These were watches that were supposed to be made. They were watches that were, made as a respect or a token of gratitude to the field officers or the military officers of the Russian army. So they are the Komandirskie or the Russian commanders' watches. You also get the Amphibia series, which is more diver style, more navy style watches. You get the classic Komandirskie, which gives homage to all three branches of their military, but automatic Komandirskie is, dedicated to the military and the land forces of Russia. You get the tank commander's watch and the submarine commander's watch. You get a lot of these, right? But the tank commander's watch, the Komandirskie series, this it falls on the Komandirskie line. So this is called the Big Red One, and a very special watch. Very solid, very robust. You get a stainless steel, full stainless steel case, which is brushed and very nice, very nicely done. Nicely brushed here. Only the bezel and the bezel is mirror polished. Rest the whole watch is brushed, which is very good, very nicely done, very nicely finished. Now you could see that it's sort of sharp, right? Sort of the edges are sort of sharp, but that is not going to be an issue. When I saw it first, I thought, the edges are sort of sharp, so it could be an issue, but it wasn't. Trust me, it's very good and very, it's built like a tank, it will survive a war. That's how strong this watch is. So an absolute tank, and just amazing what it is. You get a friction based bidirectional bezel. This is not a clicking bezel, so it's a friction based bidirectional bezel. If you are planning on using this bezel for timing dives and all, well, it's not going to be very good because you need something that clicks in place, snaps in place. But for timing other things, this is good. Like for regular timing, it's not a problem if you're using it to time other things instead of dives. And come on, let's face it, we are not divers, right? We are hardly going to wear this watch for diving, and it's not supposed to be. It's the Komandirskie series, not the Amphibia series. It only has 100 meters of water resistance. I mean, I say only, but 100 meters of water resistance for a field watch like this is damn good, right? So you're not going to use this bezel for diving anyway. So it's a beautiful red bezel, right? It goes very well with it. One of the problems I have with this watch is the the bezel, we'll talk about that later. So first I'll talk about the bracelet. So I put it on this Super Shark mesh bracelet. Don't ask me where I got it. This is not the stock bracelet. It did not come with this watch. I saw somebody's post and he had put this bracelet, and I had to hunt this down, and then finally I got it in New Zealand, and I had to get it all the way from New Zealand. I went completely nuts for this bracelet. I absolutely love it. It's very, very military style, you know, very tough bracelet, and I really wanted it, so I got it. It's a 2-clasp bracelet. You don't get this with the watch. It's a butterfly clasp here, and this bracelet is just, it's a marriage made in heaven, you know. With this watch, it goes absolutely perfectly with the watch. Look at that, right? Just lovely how it goes. I'll give you a wrist shot with it later. You get the crystal is a Hasselite acrylic crystal. The crystal is a Hasselite acrylic crystal. It's a domed crystal. You don't get a mineral crystal, you don't get a sapphire crystal, you get an acrylic crystal, which is Hasselite based, is slightly better than the regular acrylic crystal, but you know, it will scratch. But the good thing is you can replace this very easily. The bezel is covered with acrylic bezel cover. So generally, if you buy a Pagani design watch, the crystal would be, what do you call it? The crystal cover would be, the crystal would be a ceramic insert crystal, and then the glass would be a sapphire glass. But this doesn't come with that. This is an acrylic glass and an acrylic crystal bezel cover. So the bezel and the glass are prone to get scratches very easily with time. With time and use, these will be scratched. There's no way around it. They will be scratched. There's no way around that. You get, we'll talk about the dial now. So the dial is a, look at that, it's a field style dial with very elaborate, very legible numbers. The 10, 2, 4, 6, 8, the numbers are very legible. It's a red as in a Soviet red dial, and nothing is as ceremonial, more ceremonial to the Russian red than this watch. You cannot get Soviet without the red, right? So this is that kind of red, and you get the Soviet star here, as you can see, the Soviet star here, right? So very symbolic, very nicely done, very nicely executed. The numbers are applied. Look at that, they're not just printed. So the numbers are applied with lume pips inside on the dial. You can see those lume pips there. So all the lume pips on the dial there. Yeah. So the numbers are applied with lume pips. The hands are lumed. The seconds and the hour and minutes hand, as well as the seconds hand. 1 second. Sorry about that. So the dial is very well executed with applied numerals, large legible applied numerals, and lume pips. So 2 lume pips at the 12 o'clock, and then one lume pip around the dial, around all the numbers. Look at that. We'll talk about the dimensions now. So the size is a very versatile 40 millimeters. That's the perfect size. Cannot go wrong with that. If you have a big wrist, a small wrist, it will go with anything. It will go with all wrist sizes. So the size is a nice 40 millimeters. Thickness is 14.78 millimeters, which makes it quite chunky. It's not very thin. It's not a thin, slim watch by any definition of that term. It's a nice chunky watch, and I prefer my mechanical watches to be a little chunky, especially the Russian ones. They should look nice and retro, you know, very nice chunky military style. So at 14.78 millimeters, it's quite chunky. And then the lug size is at 20 millimeters. So if you put a strap on it, it's going to be a 20 millimeter strap. Case back. So this is, 1 second, I'll unlock the look at that. So this is the case back. Look at this. Okay, so the water resistance on this is not 100 meters. I'm sorry. I was under the wrong impression. It's 200 meters of water resistance. So even more water resistance or water resistant than it already than I thought it was. So even though it's a Komandirskie watch, it's a 200 meter water resistance watch. You can wear this for dives also. Though I don't recommend it because of the bezel. And generally don't go diving at all. It's risky and dangerous. So you saw the dial. Now I'll tell you something peculiar about this dial. Okay, so you see this chapter ring around the case back. So the case back is a regular snap-on case back and it has this chapter ring. So the chapter ring goes above the case back and then it screws shut. So this is a Russian system that they have invented because they did not want to copy the Swiss watch style, which is generally the style in which most of the watches use these days. So this is a different, it's a Soviet, it's a Russian system. So what happens is the Soviets came up with this. So what happens is that the chapter ring goes above this, above the case back, right? And when you go underwater and there's a lot of pressure, the pressure is applied evenly around the chapter ring, and that puts pressure evenly around that chapter ring, and that as you go deeper the watch becomes more and more water resistant. So it becomes more and more tight with the applied pressure, thereby making it crazy waterproof. So this was really a genius move. This was a genius design, and I think they really outcompeted the Swiss here when they did this. I don't think the Russians get enough credit for this. They deserve more credit than what they are getting. This was just brilliant, the way they designed case backs, right? And people don't talk about it much. The Japanese watches, Seiko and all, they blindly copied the Swiss. Nobody copied this. They should have. This is brilliantly done. This is just a brilliant design. Genius. Okay, so now we'll talk about the movement. First, you get this screw down crown. It's a nice big crown that the watch comes in, gives it a nice touch. A small crown wouldn't look good on this watch. It has a nice big prominent crown. So when you unscrew it, right, and you can hear that, when you hear that sound, you can wind it. So the movement is winding. It is a, one second, see, you can wind that. But first, before we got to the movement, you see the crown is wobbly. Do you see that? Pull that out. Look at that. You see that? It's wobbling. You will say that this is broken. This is not broken. This is actually another genius move by the Russians. So they came up with this wobbly crown so that suppose you unscrew the crown, right? And suppose something bangs against this, then the crown will disengage. This mechanism is actually a safety mechanism. So if you hit this crown when the screw is unscrewed, then this safety mechanism will be activated and it will not damage the movement of the watch. It will only damage the crown. Only the crown stem will get damaged, but the watch and the movement will be intact. So this is actually a genius move. This is not broken. This is not a flaw. It's not a flaw. In fact, it's a safety mechanism. It's another genius that they have employed, and they need to be lauded for it. It uses, now we'll talk about the movement. So it uses a Vostok 241. Wait one second. Okay, one second. Let me get it to focus. Yeah. So it's a Vostok 2416B movement. It's a 31 rubies movement. It's a non-hacking movement. It works on both self-winding and hand-winding features. आपको दिखाते हैं. तो पहले तो हमने अभी वाइंड किया ना. So right now the crown is out. One second. ओके, तो जब आप अनस्क्रू करते हैं ना तो आपको ये साउंड आएगा, हाँ, तो इट्स टाइम टू वाइंड। तो अभी आप वाइंड कर सकते हैं वॉच को, राइट। तो हैंड वाइंडिंग से भी चलती है इन एडिशन टू ऑटोमेटिक सेल्फ वाइंडिंग। दैट इज अ बाई डायरेक्शनल रोटर दैट इट हैज़, मतलब यहाँ पे जो रोटर होता है ना, मूवमेंट में जो रोटर होता है ना पीछे, तो इस तरफ भी घूमेगा तो भी चलेगा, इस तरफ घूमेगा तो भी, मतलब इस तरफ अगर घूमेगा वो रोटर तो भी आपकी वॉच चार्ज होगी, अगले दूसरे डायरेक्शन में घूमेगा तो भी आपकी वॉच चार्ज होगी। इट्स अ बाई डायरेक्शनल वाइंडिंग, मतलब किसी भी डायरेक्शन में अगर वॉच घूमती है वॉच चार्ज होती है, क्योंकि रोटर किसी भी डायरेक्शन में घूमे वॉच चार्ज हो जाएगी। इफ नॉट आपको यूनि डायरेक्शनल वाइंडिंग मिलती है, तो ये पुल करके जब आप वाइंड करेंगे ऐसे हैंड वाइंड भी आप कर सकते हैं। ओके, इट्स, देखिए आई हैव पुल्ड आउट द क्राउन नाउ कंप्लीटली टू सेट द टाइम, राइट। तो देखिए अब मैं टाइम को सेट करने की कोशिश कर रहा हूँ, देखिए टाइम में सेट कर रहा हूँ। तो व्हेन आई एम सेटिंग द टाइम द सेकेंड हैंड इज स्टिल मूविंग, ये थम नहीं रहा, ये चलता जा रहा है, विच मीन्स इट्स अ नॉन हैकिंग मूवमेंट। हैकिंग फीचर नहीं है इस मूवमेंट में। हैकिंग वॉचेस में जब आप क्राउन पुल करते हैं टाइम सेट करने के लिए तो सेकेंड हैंड रुक जाता है, इसमें वो नहीं है, तो इट्स अ नॉन हैकिंग मूवमेंट। तो सेल्फ वाइंडिंग है, बाई डायरेक्शनल सेल्फ वाइंडिंग है, सिंगल क्लॉकवाइज वाइंडिंग है, एंड नॉन हैकिंग मूवमेंट है ये। पावर रिजर्व आपको 32 आवर्स का मिल जाता है, सो यू नो 1.5 डे आप आराम से इसको पहन सकते हैं ऑन अ फुल वाइंड। रात को आप रख सकते हैं, इसका पावर रन आउट नहीं करेगा अगर आपने मॉर्निंग में पहना होगा तो। ये मूवमेंट बहुत ही रोबस्ट है, बहुत ही अच्छा मूवमेंट है। दिस वॉज यूज्ड इन रशियन वॉचेज सिंस द 1970s 1980s, और वही मूवमेंट इसमें भी यूज किया गया है। इट्स द सेम मूवमेंट दैट वॉज यूज्ड इन 70s एंड 80s, वही डिजाइन है, वही मूवमेंट है, एंड इट्स अ वेरी रोबस्ट वेरी टफ मूवमेंट, नथिंग टू वरी अबाउट। 10 साल का तो कम से कम ये लोग ही गारंटी देते हैं कि 10 साल आपको इसको सर्विस नहीं कराना पड़ेगा। सो 10 years सर्विस वारंटी है होती है इसकी। तो यू नो डोंट टेक दैट, मतलब आप वारंटी तो आप क्लेम करने के लिए रशिया तो नहीं जाओगे, सही बात है ना, लेकिन आई कैन टेल यू ये वॉचेस 10 साल तक आपको सर्विस कराने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगी। वेरी वेरी लॉन्ग ड्यूरेशन वॉचेस हैं ये, लाइफ लॉन्ग वॉचेस बोलते हैं इसको, बहुत ही लॉन्ग ड्यूरेशन है, सर्विस इंटरवल्स बहुत लंबे हैं। आप 10 साल भी सर्विस नहीं करोगे तो भी ये वॉच अच्छे से चल जाएगी, कोई दिक्कत नहीं होगी। टाइम कीपिंग तो बहुत अच्छा है। इट इज 19,800 beats per hour movement, which is fairly high beat. It's not very high beat like NH35 and all that. NH35 decently high beat, right? So this is also sort of high beat. It's not as fast as the NH35. अच्छा movement है and very reliable movement है ये. The thing about Russians is they are not they will not build something that is overly sophisticated. The focus is on functionality. The focus is on function instead of the sophistication, instead of the beautification, instead of the subtleties. Their focus is on function more than it is on other things, right? So movement में वो चीजें भी बहुत जरूरी हैं. With time you need to evolve. This movement is sort of backwards. 1970s 80s का movement है ये, मतलब उन्होंने कोई इम्प्रूवमेंट नहीं किया है मूवमेंट में रशियंस ने, लेकिन इट गेट्स द जॉब डन. इट्स वेरी एक्यूरेट, वेरी 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 एक्यूरेट. मुझे इसमें और NH35 में एक्यूरेसी में ज़्यादा डिफरेंस नहीं मिला है. आई हैव ट्राइड बोथ, मुझे ज़्यादा एक्यूरेसी में तो डिफरेंस नहीं मिला है दोनों में. तो इट वर्क्स, राइट. इट्स नॉट एज हाई बीट एज, उतना फास्ट नहीं, हाई बीट नहीं है मूवमेंट कंपेयर टू NH35. ब्यूटिफाइड नहीं है मूवमेंट, बट functionality is the same. It goes neck to neck with NH35 any day, and it will still keep perfect time, have a long service interval, just give you the same functionality as any other watch. It's too good, right? तो बहुत अच्छा functionality based movement है ये. One more thing I want to tell you is it does not have a quick set date. तो ये आप जो डेट देख रहे हैं ना, ये इसको क्विक सेट डेट नहीं है. आप मतलब जैसे आप कोई क्वार्ट्स वॉच हो, वो आप ऐसे खींच के आप एडजस्ट करते हैं ना डेट को, तो इसमें वो डेट एडजस्ट करने का फीचर नहीं है। तो ये बात को याद रखिए, डेट एडजस्ट करने का फीचर नहीं है इस वॉच में। डेट को आपको क्या करना पड़ेगा ना, तो एवरी टाइम आपको पूरा घुमा के 24 आवर्स घुमाना पड़ेगा। सो जब 24 आवर्स हो जाएंगे, 12 क्रॉस हो जाएगा, फिर ही डेट चेंज होगा, नहीं तो डेट विल नॉट चेंज। सो आई हैव गिवन अप ऑन चेंजिंग द डेट, क्योंकि इट्स अ हेक्टिक टास्क. I'm sorry, I can't do it every time because every time I cannot keep changing the date like that. Quick set है तो एक बात है, quick set नहीं होता है तो it becomes an issue. तो quick set date नहीं है इसके अंदर. एक और चीज़ आपको लोग बोलेंगे that there is a hack in Russian watches. मतलब आप आवर्स हैंड है ना, इसको आप 12 o'clock से 9 o'clock, 12 o'clock से 9 o'clock ऐसे करेंगे तो डेट चेंज होता रहेगा. ये मत करिए, आपका मूवमेंट डैमेज हो जाएगा. कोई ऐसा ये हैक है, ऐसा होता है, आप कर सकते हैं ऐसा, इट विल वर्क, लेकिन इट विल डैमेज योर मूवमेंट इन द लॉन्ग रन. आपका जो मूवमेंट है ना वो डैमेज हो जाएगा इससे. वॉच को कभी ऑपोजिट डायरेक्शन में नहीं घुमाना चाहिए. हाँ, तो आपको दिखाता हूं मैं. हमेशा ना वॉच को ऐसे घुमाना चाहिए, ऐसे कभी नहीं करना चाहिए. ऐसे करेंगे ना मूवमेंट डैमेज हो जाता है. ऑलवेज टर्न योर मैकेनिकल वॉचेज लाइक दिस, क्लॉकवाइज. नेवर टर्न देम काउंटर क्लॉकवाइज. काउंटर क्लॉकवाइज करने से मूवमेंट को डैमेज होता है, आपको पता भी नहीं चलेगा और आपका सर्विस का बिल बढ़ेगा इसमें. हाँ, तो रिमेंबर दैट. तो ये जो हैक जो लोग बोलते हैं ना, दैट आवर्स हैंड को मतलब टाइम को 9 बजे करिए 12 करिए, 9 बजे करिए 12 करिए और आवर्स चेंज, ये डेट चेंज होता रहेगा, ये मत करिए. हैक के चक्कर में आपका हैक हो जाएगा. डोंट डू इट. हाँ, वन मोर थिंग आई वांट टू टेल यू अबाउट, दैट इज अबाउट दिस ब्रेसलेट. तो ये ब्रेसलेट को ना आप सोच सकते हो कि ये ब्रेसलेट को रिसाइज कैसे करें. आप देखिए, रिसाइज करने का कोई चांस ही नहीं है इस ब्रेसलेट को. यू कांट रिमूव लिंक्स, नथिंग. इट्स जस्ट सॉलिड चेन लिंक्स, राइट. तो आप पूछेंगे इसको रिसाइज कैसे किया. तो लाइक आई सेड, आई वॉज इन लव विद दिस ब्रेसलेट. तो ये इश्क नहीं है आसान, आग का दरिया है और तैर के जाना है. ये कहावत सुनी है ना आपने. तो मैंने वो, ये होता है ना, क्या बोलते हैं उसे, बोल्ट कटर लेके एक एक लिंक को काटा है. एंड देन आई हैव रिसाइज्ड दिस ब्रेसलेट टू माई हैंड. और मुझे दोनों तरफ से निकालना पड़ा. एंड फॉर ईच लिंक यू हैव टू कट इट आउट. तो वन ऑफ द मोस्ट डिफिकल्ट हैरोइंग टास्क्स इज टू रिसाइज दिस ब्रेसलेट. ये कोई वॉचमेकर आपके लिए नहीं करेगा, भगा देगा आपको. तो वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू रिसाइज इट. आपको बताना था मुझे, बिकॉज वेरी नाइस. लेकिन एक बात याद रखिए, वंस यू रिसाइज इट, दिस इज वन ऑफ द बेस्ट ब्रेसलेट्स यू कैन हैव. ओके, सुपर शार्क मैश इज अ ग्रेट ब्रेसलेट. ये शार्क मैश ब्रेसलेट बोलते हैं इसको. तो ये देखिए, आई विल नाउ शो यू अ क्विक wrist shot. So this is my Vostok Komandirskie big red one. This is my favorite watch. ये मेरा सबसे फेवरेट वॉच है. इसके जितना मुझे और कोई वॉच पसंद नहीं है. This is my best watch. I absolutely love it. Why is it my favorite? I can't tell you. I have watches with better features. I have watches, all kinds of watches. Tough, rugged, dress, beautiful, सब kind of watches है मेरे पास. लेकिन this is my favorite watch. It always has been. जब से मैंने इसे देखा है, I've been in love. कविता भी लिखी है इसके ऊपर. तो this was my Vostok Komandirskie big red one. Let me know how you liked it. If you have any questions, I've tried to cover everything comprehensively. अगर आपको कोई question है, please leave it in the comment section and I will try to answer it to the best of my knowledge and ability. Thank you guys for visiting my challenge. Thank you guys for visiting my channel. Thank you for all your support and love. I really appreciate it. Thank you for coming to my channel. Please like, share and subscribe. Do your thing. And I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.